Thermal imaging inside of a ghost hunt. So quick demo of what you guys are going to be looking at. Why would I want this? How so? Wait, how so? What kind of energy?
Cold spots.
Cold spots, exactly.
Which one?
Cold.
This
This the old
cold spot look like?
I'm getting to that. Don't jump the gun on me now, Curtis. So, see, that's why I say hang on to them. I'm going to answer them all. But with that, you guys should be able to see me in there, right? Red, orange, and yellow guy. So, sorry, fellas, but I'm the hottest thing inside the video, just so you guys know. I know, the bridal parties, that really works for them, just so you guys know. But we're literally looking for the blue and black spots to start moving on their own or to take shape on their own. So, does this capture something every single night? It does not. However, when we do capture something with it, it is a holy cow moment. I will kind of give you some videos towards the end of this to kind of show you like what I'll be looking for when I'm spot checking this video. Melissa's going to be holding this thing horizontally all night long. She's also going to see a blue dot bouncing around the screen. That blue dot gives us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. It's kind of to help direct your eye on where the cold spots might actually be. So when I'm actually looking through this, it's not always just for that blue dot. I'm looking for the blue and black movements as well, because sometimes they're growing cold, but Melissa moved too quickly for me to be able to see everything. So I'm still looking for those shapes, and you'll see more of that later on. But this guy is super cool. I love it. It's super cool to watch, even in real time. So even on a smaller screen, I do splice all the videos together because we are going to do some starts and stops. The reason why is because as great as the hardware is, because again, this is what firemen use to actually help save people. So the software sucks. If we record for too long, we're going to lose footage, and I don't want to do that. So I'll give you the cues for starts and stops. We are currently recording. You're going to leave it recording until I give you the cue to stop. So hold it horizontal all night long with the camera on your left. So that's the wire side.
Okay.
Let's break out the next camera, just so we get them all out of the way. So this camera works.
I moved my thumb and I was like,
Don't move your thumb. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to be that strict all the way, I promise. We're here to have fun. So, let's talk about something else with this building and then we'll move on. So, just to get your mind off of the craziness that I told you, because that's literally the scariest thing I'll probably tell you all night is concerning your own health. The same building, we had a big earthquake here in 1886. I bring it up because every tour guide in town brings up the earthquake because this is South Carolina. We're not supposed to have earthquakes, we're supposed to have hurricanes. This is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see in the middle of the building, a piece of it broke off from the front of the building, hit somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. And they say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. So I said apparently and allegedly a lot with that because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue, so KELISSA's not thinking about getting sick on the tour. So she's the only one that gave me the look of shock, like, oh shit, what did I just do? So the spirit box I will be using, just so you guys know. It is actually, believe it or not, one of my favorite spirit boxes, and yes, it is on my phone. It is a little crazy. So let me show you how this guy works, and it's just going to be running in my pocket all night, and I'll pull it out from time to time. So basically, in a nutshell, this is going to run through a list of words, 36,000 words to be exact, inside the dictionary. At times, it will spit out a term from time to time. It's going to save all the words into a list. The last tour I did with my own phone, we had 77 terms show up. I'm going to clear them out and actually start us off fresh. This is a phone app. It's meant to be fun and games and a hoax. 80% of this is going to be bullshit. Sorry for the language, but that's the only way to describe what actually comes out of this. Yeah, I've used that one before too. So this one I love because it gives me timestamps for every single word. So the two spirit box ladies that are listening in, if you hear something, I might actually be able to tie it to something else going on with my word list. So you will get the full word list back, but only 5 to 20% of it will actually be accurate to our location. Just so everybody knows, and I'll kind of, somebody remind me from time to time, because I normally don't use a device because I'm too busy taking notes from 10 people. So, but I normally have a separate phone set up for this, not my own. I'm not handing out my own Google Notes. It's not going to happen, right? All right, so is everybody ready to go ghost hunting? Mm-hmm. Stacy's like, man, we've been standing here a long damn time. Let's just go.
I'm good.
You've got to be hot in that jacket. Ready. Like, I'm looking at you and I'm sweating to death.
I thought it was going to be cool. I'm from Maryland, and it's late. I'm thinking, okay,
fair enough.
It's going to be cold.
All right, we're actually going to go this way.
No, I'm good.
horses.
Yep. You guys can smell it.
I heard just letting off a little steam when I was walking over here.
Okay. Just letting off a little steam. Okay. Remind me to write that down once we get through a little bit
In the
here.
middle of the street.
But that's what she's hearing. So, again, she doesn't know if the word steam is actually relevant here. She doesn't know if just letting off a little means something here. It's all about whatever key phrases we can find. So, nice catch. That's a long phrase to listen to on that thing. Have you heard anything like that yet? Not putting you on the spot or anything, but I'm going to do that all night long. I'm going to ask you guys constantly, what are you guys hearing? What are you seeing in your cameras? What's going on? So, just so you know, normally, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is a kind of a nice little break. I've literally been sold out for at least 4 weeks. So 5 people is kind of going to be a much better time than 10 trying to chase you all down. So this is the big red barn where we keep the horses for the carriage rides. So that's why we use earbuds with our spirit boxes now, because the horses do not like the white noise. So again, they will kick the wall and scare the bejesus out of all of us. So it's not fair to them to try to scare them so that way they can scare us. So again, it's not going to work for me. So history here is really simple, and I did it that way on purpose so I can explain your devices a little bit further now that everything is inside your hands. This is the same big red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Obviously, keywords here being obviously anything relatable to a horse or stable, delivery, milk, and eggs. So, in a space like this, everybody wants to ask the same question whenever they get a communication device. So this is not a Ouija board, this is not television, this is not, is somebody here? Right? Because that's what everybody wants to ask, including all your TV shows. You can laugh at them now because that's the wrong approach to have. You want to ask questions you actually want, you know the answers to. But by the way, let me just point out something else. If somebody answers to no, like is somebody here and Stacy hears the word no, obviously somebody's here. That's why we don't use yes or no questions. You would ask it questions you already know the answers to. If somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is, right? So obviously we are looking, because I have the word list, and listening for the color red. However, you're listening to song lyrics and DJs to be able to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available to them at that particular time of trying to get an answer to us, but fire truck, blood, heart, those 3 things are specifically red. I would actually take that as an acceptable answer. What color is the big red barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night, even though we have 6 devices out here tonight, I'm still going to verify something else going on with another device that's actually giving us a little bit of activity, whether it's coming from the same device or not. For example, if my word list in this location has the word art in the middle of the screen, that doesn't mean anything by itself. But then KELISSA hears the number 40 on her spirit box. Together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you see how we're going to be putting clues together throughout the entire night? We're going to be talking about people from colonial times and the 1800s. These people all had the same damn names, Charleses and Georges and that kind of thing. We need to know who we're talking to. So that's why I always look for a double clue. A lot of times tonight you're going to hear me say, that's a great first indicator, let's wait to see what happens. I will also withhold information purposely, so that way you have a genuine experience based on your device. I will give examples of certain readings that I get with Curtis's device, or things that I may have seen in that space before we leave it, but I won't always reveal everything right off the top. So, cameras, we have 2 of them running tonight. I'm going to, first and forewarning, we're going to be in spaces where there might be parked cars and people passing through. People do not like to be filmed, and they definitely don't like their cars to be filmed. If I do like an Andy's Coming from Toy Story, it means act casual. So John, you're basically point your camera downwards, like straight at the ground. Yep, you got it, just right at your side, just nice and casual. Take selfies, whatever you need to do. And of course, Melissa, you are handling a cell phone. It's much easier to hide something that you're not filming somebody's vehicle. But we're going to talk about those cameras really fast. So you're going to try to do 2 things for us with your camera. I just told you not to film people, but I do want you to film one of us at all times. Our skin temperature is going to be the warmest thing out here. That gives us an array of color on your screen, and it is much easier to find cold spots when there's a 97 to 99 degree person out here. So the other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The blue dot that I set up for you is going to default to the sky all the time because there's no surface. It's always going to show that the coldest spot is in the sky. So it's going to be impossible to do that at certain peaks of our investigation tonight. So just do your best.
So I may just get your body, not your head.
It happens.
If I point up, I get the sky.
And again, we will kind of like, I don't want to say like fully separate because we're a much smaller group tonight, but we will kind of a little bit of a venture, like maybe separate off within 15 to 25 feet away from each other. So just try to keep one of us in view at all times.
Okay.
Let's see here. So with yours, I will kind of let you know when to start recording it. That device also needs to get used to the temperature and the humidity around us so that way it doesn't fog up in there. Sure. But when I say go ahead and start recording, you're going to hold that button down very firm until it starts blinking. Okay. In the event that it locks up tonight, which last night it actually did okay, but we're only going to probably capture about 30 to 40 minutes of footage on their grand total. I do splice all of your videos together, so that way you guys only have 2 videos to watch, one full thermal, one full spectrum. So, Curtis, we're going to talk more about your device. Have you seen any motion on those numbers at all?
When we were coming across the street, I saw it go up to like 3,
Okay.
0.3,
0.3?
Mm-hmm.
So the natural EMF that comes off the Earth goes all the way to 1.1. So that's why I say anything above 2.5. I will
Okay.
also debunk a lot of things ahead of time for you, just because we might be walking on main streets where there might be parking meters, those kind of things. So you'll hear me talk about that a lot tonight. I will also explain to the entire group before we leave the next space what the readings actually mean, but I want to see what comes out of the next space first. I'm going to show you more about that motion sensor at the next spots, just because there's a little bit more involved with it, and I want to get us away from football players and ponies. What do you think?
Yeah.
Let's go
Okay.
deep dive into history. Let's do this, now that everybody knows what the hell they're doing. You guys should all see now why I get started right at 9:01, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lots to do. I hate to go in training mode for 30 minutes, but you guys need to know what you're working with. That's a little heavier than I was expecting tonight, because you guys didn't empty it. So, still got a ton of batteries back in there. So, welcome to your beautiful space of Charleston. You're in a parking lot. Congratulations, you made it. So, told you I'm taking you to some weird spots, right? So, this place is super important to Charleston, but the other tours in general, none of them actually come here, because there's nothing to do for them. However, you're going to investigate the space. We need to know where the heck we're at first, so I can give you the history. So, what is this place? This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. It actually sat in the front of this space, like facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So just so everybody wants to know like what the layout of the place is. Unfortunately, when we started investigating, I will tell you, as far as looking into the servants and slaves, there's no records. If we get names or jobs, I cannot prove any of them. And I say names and jobs because we've gotten that in the past. However, I can't find any record other than a few first names here and there and some of the letters that Eliza actually wrote. So, unfortunately for us. Spirit boxes. I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, just so you guys know, like what we did over there with the red barn. You will get the answers from your spirit boxes, and I will give you a plethora of questions that you can use, to ask Eliza what's going on here. But let's get into the history. Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Does everybody see why I need a secondary clue now? Good. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for South Carolinians, but I hate politics more than everybody here. So we're going to move on. We're going to talk about Eliza. Her story is way more fun. Eliza married Charles at a young age, according to today's standards. If you ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14 like you would from colonial times. You're going to hear numbers according to today's standards. I bring this up because her husband, Charles, was over double her age when they married. Big age gap back then, colonial times, big age gap now, just so you guys have that gist. I give you little clues, but I'm not going to give you answers. But she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying. He wanted to see all of his children one last time. So he's trying to bring them all home to England. Well, Eliza was here falling in love with Charles, so she got married. In 1744, she didn't marry Charles to get a green card or citizenship because we're not even a country yet. She marries Charles out of love, and even after Charles died, because remember, dudes doubled her age, he went first, she remained a widow for the rest of her days, a very long time. But her father got better, so Eliza was correct. She didn't think her father was dying, and he didn't right away. He starts sending her gifts, apologetically, to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. you guys have been around town for a little while now that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere, and the way we use it, it makes blue dye for our blue jeans today. So, Alyssa, good job. You're wearing it right now. This is actually where it kind of started. So, when she got these seeds, she had no idea what to do with them. But the slaves and servants that she had did. So she learned from them how to keep it cultivated in our rare temperatures. Then she moved it to a plantation just north of here in Mount Pleasant. Calls her father and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with this indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Absolutely unheard of. So
6.3.
Oh.
You went 6.3.
That's a good number. I'm going to have to write that one down, and of course the phrase that you heard earlier. So let's get into the weird stuff about Eliza. That's her business. That's the history that actually occurred here. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. Same year, 5 months apart. First wife Eliza dies. Second wife is the one I told you planted the indigo, and he married her in May of 1744. The first Eliza dies in January of 1744. So, ironically, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. You can ask which Eliza we're dealing with by asking her maiden name, and hopefully we get an answer. The mansion's not here anymore. You can obviously ask what happened to it. If you get an answer, we'll see if you can get the year of what that actually happened. See why we don't go after yes or no questions? We want the details. The children, there's more than one. I already told you the one, Charles, signer of the Constitution guy. You can ask how many children, if you'd like, and what their names are. After that, leave it alone. The reason being is there's a tragedy among those kids. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop, including the slight EMFs that we're getting on Curtis's device so far. Don't poke the bear and ruin the tour for everybody, please. It's a very big deal. We don't want to piss off the penguins. So, I've seen it done in the past, and then I don't get activity out of here for weeks. It's crazy. So, last but not least, Eliza's death. She's pretty open about that. You can ask her how she died, how old she was, where she's buried, and what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So, very important lady. If that doesn't tell you how important she was by having a president bury her, I don't know what will. So, we are going to spread out a little bit in this space. We're not going to be filming cars or going near cars, but we will stay within the confines of the walls. So, I would say at this point, Melissa, because I have to work with Curtis for a few moments to show him how to use that REM pod, I want you to kind of pal around with KELISSA and John, and kind of maybe, that way I'll actually get a comparison of video, side by side. That would be kind of neat. I don't think I've ever actually had that done before. 4.9 and 6.3 so far. Over there, KELISSA, you heard let off a little steam, right? I'm just looking at the word steam, but the fact that you had so much come out of it is a big deal. Writing in the dark is a new skill, by the way. You should put it on your resume if you can do it. So
Can't see an IR.
6.3, right? And 4.9.
Yeah.
All right, so have we heard anything on yours yet?
I just heard question number 2.
Question number 2. See, you did hear something. I don't have any relevance to it, but the fact that you heard it means that you're getting the gist of it. The two of you will get better at listening to those as the night goes on. When you guys look at your evidence, I look at your analysis notes because I separate all the real-time notes of things I'm writing down at the end, like the very bottom, and the last place always has the most amount of notes because you guys are getting used to how to look and listen for your specific, devices and words that are coming up. So, the word choke just come up, and the number 2 just showed up on my word list, and you just had question number 2. So, here's what I'm going to tell you. That's 2 number 2s. Exactly.
When?
1722. 22 shows up here often. What I will tell you is that I normally take anything that says 2022 as far as the year in your radio stations, and I omit it automatically. First off, I do that because the number 20 is Big John's jersey number. So I don't want you to hear 2022 because that's too common. It's too easy. I want something hard. So the fact that you got the number 2 and I have the number 2 on mine, it's vague and it's a stretch.
7.5.
7.5. Eliza, you want to tell us what year you passed away, please? We have 2 boxes tonight, 3 boxes that you can actually tell us. Is there anything?
And the number on the bottom, what is supposed to be?
The temperature.
Do I need to tell you that?
No. Again, that's just at the ready type thing. So in the event Melissa finds something on her camera, you and I are already ready to go to debunk it or prove it pretty fast.
Is there an air conditioning unit in that window over there? Because something keeps coming up right here at 75.
That's the van.
Oh, that's the
The
van.
glass is always going to be colder,
Okay.
and you
okay.
cannot see through glass either. Just so you know.
I noticed that with Curtis's glasses.
Yep, cannot see through glass. All right, so go ahead.
Or
and
not
start
yours.
recording.
His
I'm sorry, I thought you
glasses.
started it already. So, I mean, we're all kind of hanging out here for a minute anyway. I did get the word choke too, by the way. Possibly relatable to when John got shot in the neck, because I don't know what the scenario was, but again, it's a vague clue, so I'll be looking for other things around that. So we've obviously seen the numbers move on the main screen. This way you guys can actually all hear what I'm going to be telling him. Go ahead and pull up your antenna. It's the little guy there on your left. Perfect. Yeah, it doesn't go very far. Flip the device around to the back. There's a little flap back here. You're going to lift it up this way. There you go. And it's really loose. It likes to fall. There's two little white. Okay. There's two little white buttons back there. The one on the right is the one you want. Click it into the device. Nope, just click it. Perfect. Now turn it around slowly. You're still not on yet. So try it again. It's got to click into the device. You'll feel it click. There you go. Perfect. Now turn it around slowly because it's going to be super bright. This thing's going to go off with your motions. Every time you move, it's going to make some kind of color scheme. There's a way to reset that so that way we don't have any false positives. Along the right-hand side where your thumb is, there's 4 buttons. Find the bottom button and keep your thumb on it. That's the reset button. Okay. So every time it goes off, click it. Like you're literally going to click that button hundreds of times tonight. Because basically what you just did was you created an EMF field around this antenna. Obviously my finger didn't make it go off. It's much closer to that. So again, the closer something gets, the different colors you're going to get. You see the blues and the yellows. So again, the whole thing is about the proximity of how close are they to this EMF field on this antenna. We have it set really close. Go ahead.
When these things are going on, do I supposed to press the button?
Yes. So press the button to reset it to make sure it's not coming from your movements. If you get the same color back again, it's obviously not coming from you. We're trying to omit any kind of false positivity. Now, I also use this as
5.6.
actually, at this point, I'm going to rate down the 5.6, but anything above the 8, I think was the last one you gave me that was high. 7.5, I want to go above that just because I don't want to write down a million little numbers. I want to get the big ones recorded. But I'd like to use this as kind of a call and answer too. There's different colors in there that I just showed you. You can ask for a color. Eliza, if you're here, make the box go to blue. If you get a blue, reset it and ask again. If it's verified, she'll answer you again.
Okay.
You see where I'm going with that? Because again, the red, it means they're touching it. That's not a big deal to me. I'd rather get a color in the middle to show the proximity that they can follow direction.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So, again, your little subtle movements of just wavering back and forth are making that go off just a little bit. I'm not telling you to stop doing it. I'm just telling you why this is going off.
Okay.
Everybody moves. Unfortunately, this device is actually created to be set up on a stable, stand or furniture or something, and basically see what happens. With us walking around, we have to omit a lot of those false positives. So, I say we take a few quick laps and have everybody kind of spread out a little bit. Let's find out where those bigger hotspots are other than 7.5. Those are actually pretty low for this location. So, but yeah, let's take a quick lap with your camera too. Yeah, you're on the left, you're good. Anything else that you're hearing?
I did hear 13 years. You were really good.
They were married for 14 years.
Every date is a natural alternative.
I'm just going to write natural alternative. How about that? Then 13 years.
So this occurs, am I picking up the same thing?
Standing on different channels.
So if you look at it, put it side by side. She's right now in there.
Okay.
just
Yes.
so you know. I don't always follow up with this one throughout the tour, just because it's easier to watch, obviously, on YouTube you can watch it on TV
okay.
and that kind of thing. So if I'm not following up with you as much, that's the reason why.
No, that's fine.
So
I keep cutting off people's heads so I don't get the sky.
Yeah, the sky in this space is pretty much impossible not to get in there.
Yeah.
But I have caught like quite a few things in here in this camera.
In this one.
And this is one of my big hot spots. Like, I love this Pinckney Mansion site. I will never get rid of it off my tour. No matter how much I alter it, change places, it'll be wrapped around however I can keep my folks coming here.
Cool.
So, love it, love it, love it. So yeah, nice slow movements. That's really the only thing I can tell you. And just make sure that your wires are always on the left. Even when you restart it, make sure you're in horizontal position first before you hit the red circle. So even when I have you start it and say, let's start it back up again, just make sure you're horizontal before you do
So
that.
is this actually a battery pack, or is that
That's the camera.
recorder? That is the camera
That's
itself.
the camera. The phone is recording everything. And then I use another software that's in the phone to splice it all together, so that way it's spliced together by the time I reach home. And then all I have to do is upload it.
That's
Like,
awesome.
I have everything at such a quick process at this point, because I've been doing this for so long,
Right.
that it's a matter of, like, most things are done before I go to bed. All I have to do is review it in the morning and type up your analysis, which I type 90 words a minute, which doesn't take long. So again, it takes me about 2 hours to piece everything together for you. So it takes
That's
me
cool.
15 minutes
Yeah.
to upload everything once I get home. But this video and then the video that John's working with, I set that up on a separate laptop all on its own, because those files are giant. So that's the only thing I have that laptop for, and it's
Right.
crazy because I had to buy a really expensive laptop to be able to do that, but it's very fast. Like, it'll splice probably, the 30 minutes that he's working on in like 10 minutes. So it's the same software that's in there, just on a desktop format. So that way I don't have to use a phone or connect it anywhere, but this one, I let it do it, do the work on my way home, on my drive.
When you splice it, are they like the two side by side at the same time?
No.
Or no?
So you're going to record probably 5 to 9 videos tonight. Like, we already have at least 3 because the camera
Right.
fell out of the phone.
Right.
So they're basically just going to run in succession. So I put them in order, so that way you can watch it in order of where we've been. So they're not going to be side by side. It's just going to be a matter of, here's a thermal imaging video, the 90 minutes that we recorded, and he's going to record about 30 to 40 minutes out of his video. So there'll be a separate
I
video
heard
for
the word shooting.
shooting. That's not surprising considering the world today. There is a shooting involved with this location, but I want to see what else is going to pop up. Okay.
He's got purple.
He's got a
So let's try over in there in that corner, and then we'll see what else is popping up, and then we'll wrap this portion up.
Maybe she decides she wants to drive.
That horse has an engine. Check that guy out. I'm gonna wrap this one up. So last chance to give us some kind of clue. Can you tell us what happened up here? Sheer mansion. Eliza, we want to know what happens to your mansion. Give us some kind of clue to what happens here. Let's wait for one more term to show up on this word list. If it's not relevant, obviously we'll give you all the answers and we'll move on. AU. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. So, all right, Melissa, bring it on in. Go ahead and stop your video, and let's get you guys the answers. So, it was one of the few cities in America that actually had a fortification wall around it. So, this street used to have residents that lived here. I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived here before. So, it's not a very lengthy list, but I will tell you, like, the same two names keep showing up over and over and over again. Where we just left at the Pinckney Mansion site is what I call an intelligent haunting. We can ask questions and get answers. This is not that way. This is what I call a residual haunting. So basically what we're dealing with is something going over and over again on a loop. We're not going to be able to ask questions in this space, but we do get the same commonalities all the time. So the two names I commonly hear, let me explain those. Benjamin and John. So Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. When I say that people lived here, I'm talking like 2 to 5 people at a time. I'm not talking like plethora of houses down here. So Benjamin and John were 2 out of 5 residents that lived here in 1801. I get their names that show up on spirit boxes in various formats every 6 to 7 weeks. Here's why I think that's happening. Because I don't have any significant story about Benjamin or John or the year 1801 inside of this alley. You're standing on Belgian blocks. They are made, at least what we're told, is made straight of granite. Now, granite does come straight from the earth, but those of you that know anything about ghosts or the paranormal, the term limestone should ring some kind of bell because it stirs up actual activity because it comes straight from the earth. I've done a little bit of research on granite. It is not supposed to hold any type of EMF field whatsoever. I want you to push in your antenna and literally put your device on a brick. I want to see if we get any kind of rating out of it whatsoever. I am actually, like, go ahead and lay it down flat. Let's see if we get any kind of reading out of it. So we're going to give it a minute to see if it's going to generate anything. You shouldn't have anything over like a 1.1, like what I mentioned earlier, that comes natural from the earth. I've seen a 3.7 was the highest I've seen it go to so far, but I'm going to let it run for just a few minutes. Oh, good deal. We can actually film it with a camera. Never thought of that. I just started doing this portion because I'm actually studying the alley in depth for my next episode of the podcast. But basically what happens with a residual haunting is it just plays over and over again on a loop. Now these bricks have been here for a few hundred years. Anything that stays here this long that's natural from the earth is said to hang on to the consciousness of memories. So again, that's why we're getting the loop. It's called the stone tape theory. So very interesting theory. It's been around for about a century now that people have been studying it, but there's really been no valid proof. Now some nights that I've been doing this, we don't get any reading at all. Other nights, we'll get an 11. Other nights, we'll get an 8. We just never know what's going to occur. And so far, the 3.7 has been the highest number I've seen so far. But yeah, definitely keep your camera on. That's a good call, John. because I mean we will capture orbs in this location all the time too, but I'd say every 6 to 7 weeks. I can't pinpoint it to a specific day. All I can tell you is right now we're in like week 1 to 2 of that loop. So a few weeks ago, Benjamin and John kept showing up for about a week straight. We also had John's last name that showed up. John's last name is Johnson. To kind of clarify that there were 4 different Johns that lived down here during a 60-year time span. John Johnson is the one that lived here in 1801. So yes, very common to get double names back then. Did it go any higher than 3.7 at this point? Okay, go ahead and pick it up. I think we have enough data from that to just know it's not going to go above 3.7.
3.2.
Now it's going down again.
3.3.
Now we got 3, 4.
4.
Again, that thing should not be above 1.1. Granite does not hold any type of magnetism whatsoever, just so you guys know. But yeah, very, very interesting. So we're in like the 3 to 4 range of some kind of a little bit of activity going on. I just can't be able to pinpoint it until I actually go through the recordings to see what's actually going on here. But I guess Thomas Rhett was the full name you gave me. And then what was the other word?
I heard MVP,
Oh yeah, that was it.
and then I just heard sing us a song.
So-
We heard 1,500.
15.
Thomas Society.
Thomas Society. So
There's
here's,
a 3.2 right there. 3.3.
I'm still going to go with the highest spike. So I'm looking for anything above 3.7. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So that's another reason why I like to come down here, because we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons. We will get the term Freemason, we will get Mason. Last night we actually heard the term Illuminati. That's the 3rd time this year. Last year was 6 times by itself. So the weird thing about that is, let me point out a few things. You're listening to radio stations. Who the hell says the word Illuminati on the radio? Second, why am I only hearing it during the time frame that we're in this space? So last night they heard it.
3.3 is hanging there for a long time.
That's the 3.2. So the next space we're going to go to, I'm still keeping an eye on that, because again, I just like to kind of lollygag here a little bit, just so you guys can see,
3.4.
like basically how I look at these specific spaces and the names I'm looking for. There's probably a Thomas that lived down here. I don't have this good list memorized, but I want to verify what's actually going on. The fact that you heard 1,500, I'm going to look to see if that time frame was like in 1815, but I'm looking specifically at the 15, kind of mentality of this. But the next space is another alley that I'm going to take you to. However, I can't take you all the way through it, like what we're doing here. The reason being is I've been booted out.
3.4.
You guys
3.5.
You guys all have the blinky lights and the cameras and the noisemakers and all of that. And it is considered residential at the end.
3.5.
3.5. Still waiting to go above 3.7. But again, that next space is very interesting as well. So I definitely want you guys listening in on your spirit boxes. We are going to stop recording video as we exit the alley until we get to the next space, and then I'll position both of you to be able to get shots of the alley and kind of take things from there as I tell you the history. The reason why I'm taking you outside the space, obviously I've been kicked out, and we're going to talk about why I got kicked out later on, because it's actually relevant to why we're here. But the other piece of that, I would drop it, sure, whatever. And I bring my glasses, so I'm like seeing a 2, and then the rest is all blurry. But the reason that we tell the story outside is we're going to stir up enough activity by talking about it, because every tour in town talks about this, but I tell the story a lot differently because you're ghost hunting. This isn't a cheesy campfire ghost story. So I'm going to give you a lot of the details of the space, and you're going to hear clues for the remainder of our time on your spirit boxes based on that one story, even though we're going to go to other spaces where there's going to be nearby. So we do get things where it'll bleed over a little bit. So even at the Pinkley Mansion site, we can hear things from Big John and vice versa. So again, once we kind of cross over into where the city walls used to be, things kind of shift for us a little bit. So let's go ahead and get our device picked up. I want to get us moved on. But as we exit, if you want to turn around and get a long shot of the space for a few seconds to kind of give us, some kind of really cool view of it, you can do that. But we're going to continue walking over to the next space. I'll just walk a little bit slowly.
Okay.
All right, let's do this. I love how you're into it. What's that? It's going to be pointless because we're going to be getting close to parking meters. So your device is actually kind of out of the game a little bit for like the next few spaces with the last space where you're going to definitely do that. slightly relevant. It's more or less. Kind of see how this goes. So, everybody talks about, you know, this alley behind us. And of course, it's very common for other ghost tours to start coming through here. So if you see those larger groups of 20, you'll realize why I don't take my groups of 10 down there halfway. Because it's not fair for us to try to convey around 20 to 60 people. Like, it's just not fair to them or us. Because you're dealing, obviously, with much different things. If it does stay empty, once I tell you the history of the space, maybe we will take a quick little venture down there before we go to our next spot just to get some footage and see if the spirit boxes will be a little bit more active. So, this is Philadelphia Alley now. It used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, not all of them because they were kind of spread out all over. I will tell you that we all tell the same story, but of course I told you I'm going to tell it differently because you need the details. Be casual with it. Same thing with yours. Just, you know, hold it low, kind of thing. But yeah, let's go check out this gate. I'll tell you what it is and why it's there. Yeah.
You have something? Be careful.
Have us sit over across the other side of the courtyard, because that's where I would take you next, to show you this gate right here, because you can see it from a distance. This alley didn't always stay locked all the time, and because basically the property line separates right here. This is obviously its own street. It belongs to the city. That belongs to the church. So it's obviously segregated a little bit over the years. But I do like to point out this gate from afar because not everybody knows why this gate is actually here. It seems very random. But again, if there's a loose one to the duel, that's the shortcut so they can go celebrate the winner quicker. So, I still don't know what some of these folks are doing down here. But again, we're going to go back the way we came in, and we're going to go around the corner, and we're going to get ready for this crazy pirate investigation. Is that fair? Yep. All right, let's do this.
They've got some kind of a piece of equipment with them that's flashing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Beam me up, Scott. Keep dropping. Beam up. Beam up. True. Up beam.
this whole night I feel like we're a little out of order. Like normally I take us around the corner, we hang out over there. I normally take us back to the back. I'm like, it's slow out here. I'm gonna actually intrude a little bit. So, welcome to the Powder Magazine, everybody. What have we heard?
I heard magazine when we
Yeah,
walked in
just
here.
magazine just now. An objective is possible.
Heard the number 14.
It's like the numbers are reversed. The number 13 that we heard at Pinckney is relevant here, and the number 14 you just heard is relevant over there. It's so weird. I think it's backwards. It's-
Ready for
Condemn.
condemn.
Condemn. What was the other one? 14, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So at this point, because you guys are so good at this, I'm actually going to have you two turn down your volumes. So this story is a little lengthy, and with the interruptions, we'll be out here for an hour. So you guys are really good at this, by the way. So
Sit right here.
yeah, have a seat. Have a
My
seat.
back is killing me.
That's fine. Anybody can have
Oh,
a seat if they want
thank
to.
you.
If you guys want to flip swap places, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a seat. I sit around and read and study all day, so standing for me is not a big deal. Perfect. And what's funny is across the street, like if I would have taken you over there to go look at that gate, you all would have been sitting over there. So it's just funny that we're chilling over here. So, well, this little tiny building that you guys were just looking at with the crosses on it, that's the Powder Magazine, like I mentioned. But those are not crosses on there. Those are earthquake bolts. In the event we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, earthquake bolts are basically turnbuckles. So you can turn them, and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again. So it's a great idea, it just doesn't work. The only reason I bring these up is because these earthquake bolts are the first ones that we put in, and you guys will see them a little bit more clearly once you guys stand up and start working again. But I bring this up because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It's finished in 1713. See where I'm getting the numbers reversed? 14 years of marriage over there, 1713 over here. Again, numbers can be screwed. But we talked about the Charlestown walls earlier when we were back at Lodge Alley. This street right here is where the wall stood. It went up past the Powder Magazine and started going south, basically all of here to your right, keeping the fortified walls wrapped around the gunpowder magazine on purpose. If it gets attacked from a Revolutionary warship or pirate ship from the water 3 blocks away, these walls are 35 inches thick. The cannonball's going to have a hard time making it all the way through at that distance. But we're going to pretend that it does, and it blows up the gunpowder. There's sand underneath those red shingles that you guys will see when you get up that's supposed to go up in the air with the explosion of the gunpowder and then fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. That's another great idea that doesn't work. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery. Sand went up in the air, the building burned to the ground. It doesn't exist. This one's just never been attacked. So, this one has served in 7 different wars and 1 rebellion. The Civil War being its last servant, just so you kind of have that history piece of it. We are here because this building is what I call a familiar. It's basically the same time frame that Anne Bonny was in Charlestown. Now, you can hear all the people trying to whistle down the alley. You guys hear that? So, it's common. That's why I brought it up on every single tour. But this is also like kind of using a toy to attract a child ghost. We don't have many buildings this old around Charleston. So again, this is why we're here. That's why it's a hit or miss. We never know what we're going to actually get here. So the building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? 10 years, small building? Not at all. I'm going to answer for you. But the middle of its construction is where our story actually begins. So try to follow me. There's a couple of twists and turns, and I'll keep tally of things for you. I see some yawns going on because the humidity is getting to all of us. 1708, a young lady leaves with her father and his mistress from Ireland to come to the New World. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? The 3 of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she that you got to get your ass in a boat and leave your country? Just saying. They land in Georgetown. That's between here and Myrtle Beach. About an hour, hour and a half. Dad buys a plantation. Mom dies pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to be able to sell anything from the plantation to help keep things afloat. Hence why we're here. Now, young Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly when she was only 10 or 12 years old. So again, I just put that mentality in your head so you kind of get the gist of this young lady throughout the entire story. We're going to fast forward. This building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne's pretty stoked. She's about 16, maybe 17 years old at this point. She falls in love pretty quickly. Guy number 1 turns out to be James Bonny, and I'm going to count them because there's quite a few. James Bonny. You can already see where this one's going, so Dad doesn't approve. Filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac becomes Anne Bonny, your most famous female pirate of the Golden Age. Now, when you get down there, this is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for, that we all know to come and love. And by the way, Johnny Depp actually won his case today,
Yes.
if anybody knows.
He did?
He did.
Yes.
By a landslide.
Are you
Really?
really?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
So, this,
Well, he was playing the crowd too.
yeah, but this
But-
defamation thing that she did to him,
Yeah, I don't know all the details.
my wife was
She's
following
not
it.
a very good actress.
No, we saw that in court. But anyway, back to Captain Jack Sparrow, guys. This is not who she wanted. This guy's a privateer. He's a spy for the British. Basically, he's a coward in her eyes. So she falls in love again a few years later. This guy's name is John Rackham, aka Calico Jack. This is the same guy, the original guy that they actually made the Captain Jack Sparrow character out of. Just so you guys know who this is. The Calico Jack has his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it. But you can't put a girl on the crew because girls curse pirate ships. They're bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. He's the captain. That's how it's going to go. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, I'm a pirate, let's go. But we're all adults here. We know what being a female in his quarters means. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So he dropped her off in Cuba. Go have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. She comes back after having the baby, but there's no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. She's also dressed like a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. While she was away giving birth to his child, Jack actually captured another pirate crew and they're down below deck. She's going to go flirting, because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. The guy she's flirting with turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females, dressed like males, on the same ship, trying to be pirates. This young lady's name is Mary Reed, just like you read a book. Now, her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, because we'll never know for certain, and Mary becomes part of the crew. The British find out where they are, they send their entire fleet of ships to take down their one measly pirate ship. Anne and Mary are the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks because they probably don't know how to use the cannons. They don't have enough experience. So, obviously, this one measly pirate ship's going to get taken. As they're being arrested by the British, Anne looks at her beau and her captain, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." So the word dog is very prominent on your spirit boxes. On top of magazine, by the way, good job. But the judge, his name is Nicholas Laws. He wants to see the 2 men that fought back after he's already tried Calico Jack and the drunken pirates that wouldn't come up and fight. So they're already dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front, reveal their gender, hoping to be saved. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. They say, "We plead our bellies," meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. You cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. He sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still here in Charlestown with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, I guess I was keeping tally on purpose, has 4 children and dies at the age of 84. That's all we know. Her pirate career, like anything after her pirate career, is pretty much a mystery. Mary Reed died a year later in 1721 in that same Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. I'm sure it was nasty and scurvious and gross and whatever. So, spirit boxes, I left out 2 questions for you on purpose, things I can actually prove. That's the name of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and the mistress. The name of Calico Jack's ship, I also left out on purpose. So in the event that's something you want to ask, anything else is fair game. You all know what the hell you're doing by now. I think I've trained you pretty well. So this was actually a pretty easy group to train. Like, you guys didn't have a ton of questions. Like, you guys grasped the mentality really fast. So that's always good for me. Do you want that other spirit box back? Do you want to try to handle both of them?
Sure.
While we're in this space? So I will tell you before I have us all kind of separate ways and see what's going on in this area, that I told you all at the beginning of the tour that I have had people pass out during my tours in the past. This is one of the spaces where it's actually relevant. So back in September of last year, much cooler night, much less humid than what we're dealing with tonight. I had my group in the back. The minute we entered the space, the kid next to me literally starts dropping like a wet noodle. He's white as a ghost, like ready to pass out. I have to pick him up by his armpit. His boyfriend picks him up on the other side, and we get him over to this wall, and we get him a bottle of water from the vending machine and bring it over. He's feeling better. I then tell the story. It's very important to know that they did not know the story that you guys now do about Anne Bonny. After I tell the story, I spread everybody out with their devices to go have fun, and they pull me aside. "Nick, we have to tell you something." Like, "what's going on?" "We are 2 transgender males," meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary in the story. And it made complete sense as to why one of them passed out as soon as we got here. I mean, it was within seconds of us entering the space. Like, we weren't in but a minute. We literally went across the street, and over by that ivy wall over there, right about across from the tree. So maybe a minute to get there, and that kid just dropped. It was crazy stuff. These are the types of uncanny things I can never explain other than the relation to the story. So take that for what it's worth. But again, we will explore this space. For those of you with cameras, if you would like to go to the front of the powder magazine, you have to exit through this right here and go through the sidewalk, or you can cut through the bushes. I don't care what y'all do, but just don't interrupt the other tours. Feel free to put your cameras right inside the front gate. But we're going to spend a few minutes here. I'll kind of get a gauge if we actually have activity going on. But you've already heard the word magazine, so that's a positive. But we're looking for Ann. Curtis, as far as your device, you definitely want to pull that antenna up and get that REM pod going, because your meter on the red screen is not going to give us much. This is not a high field. So,
Yeah, we heard John.
oh, you heard John?
Yeah.
Did you hear anything else on here? I asked you. You were supposed to have that turned down.
She turned it up.
That's funny.
She bad.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
We also heard guilty.
I'm not surprised. Guilty shows up a lot on my word list, but the fact that you heard it, like on a separate spirit box, makes me happy, because that means it's just not coming up out of the word list.
And it was right when you said that it was a transgender. Yeah.
Transgender thing, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's legend.
Hey, well,
Yeah, check out the front. I have the word tournament, by the way. I told you we would get clues relative to the duel over here as well. So again, it's only half a block away. Very interesting. Oh, and I did get the words "can't fight" while I was telling you guys the story of that duel. So yeah. And pain. Very interesting word list we have going on here. There's not a ton, but there is some numbers in here
opportunity for you.
Like I got that number 80 that I showed you guys earlier, and then the word 7 showed up after that. So there might be something with 87 something. So I'll be diving into what that actually is. Very interesting word list. And you said opportunity for you, was that what it was? So you guys think I'm not paying attention, but I am. See,
Did
it's all
yours
about
say
it.
hot?
I'm sorry?
Did it say hot just a second
I
ago?
couldn't understand what it said. It was very quick.
The only reason I say that is my left ear is my good ear.
Oh,
Do you have any
Okay.
numbers on your screen?
Go walk around?
Or no?
Yeah.
No. Okay,
I want to go around the front.
Yeah, let's go around
Those
front.
two things work independently.
So what were the two questions?
okay, I'm following you to.
Okay. Yeah.
I thought I heard the name Margaret, which is not a very old-time name, but,
Old enough.
you know, could be somebody that died last week.
Very true. It's mosquitoes. I got you calling over here.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's why I sat. I figured I'd keep an eye on it for you. I got the words pulled and dough.
Pulled and dough?
Yeah, like pulled dough.
Like making bread.
Yeah. Just weird. They came up right next to each other.
Let's say hi.
I don't know.
Of course, it's right next to my phone, so you never know.
Well, it's not going to pick anything up from your phone.
No, I've had K2s before.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
it
have one of those too.
goes crazy if I got
Yeah.
it next to my phone.
Have you seen the new model?
I saw one that came out last week at
Yeah.
Ghost Stop.
Yeah. Well, the one I'm using now is their newest model. It actually has a buzzer in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it sounds like a Tiger meter.
Yeah.
And you can't hear it out here though. It's like a waste of money. So.
So I have mine with me. It's like one of the old models. The screen, the little glass, actually broke out. I took nail glue and I glued it back in. The thermometer thing, that's gone.
Oh, you're talking about the millimeter that
Yeah.
Curtis is using.
Yeah.
What are you guys using? What do you got?
With our Gene Wilder
Really?
and Little.
A little.
I thought I heard Jill, maybe.
You guys telling nursery rhymes?
Isn't one of the Little Women Margaret?
I don't know. Possibly. But I don't know if there's any ties like specific to where we are
Yeah.
now or anywhere nearby. All right, Stacy, you got anything else for me?
No.
No? All right,
We
let's
could
cut
go looking for names in the cemetery.
I heck, I can look those up because we can't walk through there. It's actually all.
I did go into one when I was here last time.
You can go onto the western side, but the eastern side's always closed.
This was a different one. It was right across from Gibbs Museum of Art.
Oh, that's
And
Circular Church.
yeah, circular. And it's got the one above ground mausoleum that has a hole in it.
One of the Pinckneys is buried over there too. I've been trying to get access to it
Oh,
for
really?
the tours for a while. But unfortunately, Bulldog is the only one that gets access.
I was going to say, you all are really, they really regulate you all here.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
big time.
like crazy rules.
All right, so let's get into these quick answers. So first thing I'd like to do is show you what Anne and Bonnie look like. Again, mugshots. You can have a seat. You want to move my bag so you can sit next to them? You guess. So, Anne Bonnie. This is one of the few pictures I could find of her where she actually had a shirt on. She's a lot of times depicted bare-breasted because she used to bare her breast to show the men she killed that they were just killed by a woman. So, everybody likes to depict her as some voluptuous vixen, red hair, blue eye kind of mentality with the Irish behind her. There are other pictures of her where she does look a little mannish, where it kind of makes sense why she was able to hide on the pirate ship the way she did. The name of her parents were William Cormack and Mary Brennan. None of you were expecting a secondary Mary, like we had Mary Reed, a friend/lover. So what's funny is teenagers, when they're on this tour, it's like they get both names right away. It's the craziest thing. And they're not Googling, because I make sure of it. Like, I'm out, like, perusing, making sure nobody's cheating to find the answers. But those were the names of her parents. I also like to show you Calico Jack. The Calico Jack was named that because of the jackets that he wore. So these came from the men he killed, British captains. So he was a very dapper young filthy pirate. And again, this is the guy that they based Captain Jack Sparrow off of. And if you've ever seen the television show Black Sails, when I read about Calico Jack, like his character in that television show is exactly how I would actually depict him in my own brain when I read his original accounts. Again, I've read more books on pirates than I care to want to, because I'm a vampire guy, really. I'm not a pirates person. But the name of his ship was called the Kingston. I'm not expecting the word Kingston to come through on a spirit box. I will accept the word king to suffice here. They're going to use words that they can possibly convey a message with. So, I'm going to show you guys something else before we actually part ways. This is exactly where you guys are sitting. So, actually, if you guys want to kind of huddle around real quick, I know I got you guys sitting, but this is from the updated version of John's camera that he's using. And this, you'll see an orb coming through. Come on, brighten up. Why is it so dark? Why is this so dark? Why is it doing that?
No clue what I saw that time.
There we go. Okay, so you're gonna still dark again. You're gonna see an orb come through this way and then take a quick turn, very sharp as it slows down.
There you go. I see it.
Oh, wow.
So again, that was with the new version of the camera that you have. I like to show this at the end because it's obviously exactly where you're standing. The thermal imaging camera, just so everybody kind of knows what I'm looking for there. Pay attention to this blue dot. These were screenshots, and these were taken with a video from an 8-year-old girl using it that night. But it's going to get much bigger, and you'll start to see it take shape. So,
Yeah.
and as it starts to take shape, the face becomes cold. And there we have not the coldest spot in the frame, because obviously the blue dot is over here somewhere on a window, but you can obviously see, like, just to show you the video of how rocky it is. Oh, actually this one's a little different. This is a different shot from the Pinckney Mansion site. So behind the 3 guests, you're going to actually see 3 cold figures take shape into people.
Oh.
Right there. Let's see if I can fast forward and get a freeze frame on it. So you guys can actually see the 3 heads out of it. 3 people.
Wow.
So, 3 adult children came out of the Pinckneys because baby George did not make it. So, take that for what it's worth as well. But again, that's why we're out here. These are the types of things I'm looking for. Do I always capture them in my spot checks? No, I'm spot checking it. For every 5 minutes of audio or video, I'm only listening or watching for 1 minute. So that way I can get through things quickly to get it back to you so you can have fun getting through it. So kind of keep that in mind when you guys get your data back tomorrow. Those are just my spot checks. It only took me 2 hours to do the work I'm going to be putting forth for that to get it back to you. Go ahead and have a seat. I'm going to start collecting devices. You guys can ask me a million more questions. I think you guys did a great job tonight. As far as like spirit boxes, those are not easy. So the fact that you guys heard them as well as that you did, I am super, super impressed.
I'm impressed that everybody in the pairs heard the same thing at the same time.
Really nice. So, as far as the terms that I got on my word list, there's only 61 of them there, but again, I turned my phone off by accident, and you have to keep it running. So that was my mistake. We missed a little bit at the beginning of the Pinkley Mansion site. But 61 terms, definitely something for me to work with to kind of see what's going on with there. Some really cool numbers. As far as your regular audio, oh, it's only 11 o'clock. So I don't pay attention to time when we're out here, guys. I'm not that guy where like, oh my God, we got to get moving. You know what I mean? But I like to get a basic gist of how much data you're going to get back, because I can usually tell that by how much audio we have. So we definitely have probably about 30 to 40 minutes out of your camera, 2 hours of the spirit box recording for Stacy, and then of course about an hour and a half out of that one.
Did I say
Just doing the
Mom?
math in my head. It's a possibility. Exactly 1 hour 59 minutes. We'll wait for the 2 hour marker, and you'll definitely have about 5.5 to 6 hours worth of data coming back to you tomorrow morning. So it's just weird that it was 2 hours right on the money. Apparently I do this way too much. Just like to get it right on the time. But what questions do you guys have? I'm going to take your camera first.
Okay.
Nice work, by the way. Nice steady movements out of you that I saw. So we'll see how the video comes out. See if you have a future in filmography.
Yep.
I do not.
I did a little bit of filming back in the day.
Mine is a lot jerkier.
We used to record, produce, and broadcast news.
Still recording.